Let's get started by touring SketchUp's user interface, both on the Mac and the PC version. I'm able to run both versions side by side because I'm running Windows XP in emulation on my Mac through Parallels Desktop. So you see this menu up here. If you were running SketchUp on a dedicated Windows PC, you would see the title bar at the top of the screen. The title bar has the name of the file and the name of the application on it. Way over here on the extreme right side of the title bar, we have the standard Windows buttons that appear in every Windows application: minimize, restore down, and close. And underneath that, we have the menu bar. These are just standard Windows menus. Some of them are cascading submenus. The check marks indicate that we have toggles. Some of the items are grayed out, meaning they're not available right now. A few of the items have an ellipsis following the word, which indicates that there's a dialog box that will appear if you choose this item. Still, other items have shortcuts next to their names, which are quick ways of executing these options without having to go through the menu. Some of the most commonly used tools have single letter abbreviations like L is for line. Unlike in AutoCAD where you'd have to type in L enter or L return, here we just type L, nothing else. The window menu has the preferences in Windows. The system preferences are global. They affect all of the models that you open, and they affect the behavior of how SketchUp works. For example, we have the keyboard shortcuts listed here on this page. Below that, we have the toolbar, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Let's just switch over to the Mac version and take a look at how it's laid out. We have the menus at the very top of the screen here. On the Mac, we have different symbols that indicate different keys. This is the command symbol. The user-defined shortcuts don't actually appear in the menus here. These are the hard-coded command abbreviations. The window menu does not contain preferences on the Mac. Instead, the preferences are on the application menu right here. Here we have the ability to change the keyboard shortcuts. We have the close, minimize, and maximize buttons here on the left side, the name of the file. Over here on the extreme right edge, we have this white button, which allows you to turn the toolbar off and on. The drawing window here contains the template file that we chose when we launched SketchUp for the very first time. You can change that template up here on the Help menu under Welcome to SketchUp. This opens up a web dialog, and it starts out with this little video that I'm going to close. We can see down here in the template area, you can select a template. I chose this one. You should choose the template appropriate to the type of work that you do. And you'll learn later how you can create your own template, which is something I highly recommend. If you don't want to always have to be confronted with choosing a template, you can uncheck Always Show on Startup. And it will always use the same template that you have selected. The toolbars function differently on the Mac versus the PC. On the Mac, we have this toolbar at the top of the screen that we can customize in any way that we want. Go to View, Customize Toolbar, and you'll see this massive drop-down appear. This allows you to take items, drag them up, and drop them to customize the way that the toolbar works. You can also take existing items out, drop them, and they vanish in a puff of smoke. There's also some larger interface elements that I need to make some room for by getting rid of some of this other stuff. Like here's the shadow control. It has a toggle that turns on and off the shadows. It gives us the date and the time on sliders. Layers can be used like that. And you can customize your toolbar however you like. If you want to go back to the way it was originally, you can just drag this set up and drop it on the toolbar, and it will go back to the way it was with the factory default. Another way you can work is using the large tool set, which is available here. This is a floating toolbar that has most of the tools that you'll ever need. Notice when I select something, it selects it here too. You see? So there's really no reason to have two kinds of toolbars on the screen at the same time. The large tool set typically has more tools than you'll be able to fit up here, so I recommend turning this toolbar off or putting different tools on it. Down here at the bottom of the screen we have toggles, and of importance right now is this question mark toggle. Click on that and you'll open up the instructor. This gives you information specific to the tool that you have selected. Here's the line tool. It gives me information about what to do. This is really useful in the first couple of days, and I really recommend that you read everything on the instructor as you're starting out. But once you get the hang of the tools, you'll want to close that. It takes up too much space. Last but not least, there's the measurements toolbar down here in the corner. And it actually says different things depending on what you're doing. If I have the select tool active, then it's going to say measurements. And in previous versions of SketchUp, this used to be called the Value Control Box, or VCB. And you'll see that sometimes in the help file. But measurements is something that we all can understand. It's where you type things in to make accurate dimensions. You don't actually click in this area. You just start typing, and the values will show up down there. On the PC, the toolbars work differently. You don't have the ability to customize any of the toolbars on the PC. You can't rearrange the order in which these buttons appear or put different buttons up there. Instead, you have more granularity when it comes to toolbars. You have more toolbars, that is. We also have a large tool set, just like we do on the Mac. So if I choose the line tool, it appears here, just the same. So again, there's no reason to have both. Let's turn off getting started. If for some reason you weren't happy with this toolbar, you wanted something smaller or something different, you could go in here and select specific little sub-toolbars. This is the same as that, but if we didn't want to have the large tool set, we could just have that. Maybe we also want to be able to modify things, so we'll use the modification toolbar. And you also have the ability to drag it from the corner, change the aspect ratio of your toolbar. You can drag the toolbars to the side and they will dock. You can use their handles to move them up, like that. I recommend that you don't start like this. Rather, you just start with the large tool set until you learn all the tools. And over time, I recommend memorizing all of the keyboard shortcuts, and then perhaps you won't need to use any toolbars. I'm at a point now where I don't use any toolbars. I can call for anything I want on the keyboard, and I just have that much more room to see what I'm doing on the screen.